So today we're going to cover the FEG Client Presentation. If you heard Dennis Hudak talking on the call today, you noticed, or if you followed the market at all, the volatility, the ups and downs. People, get these short-lived ups, and then they get some corrections. We're in it's a really, really good time, if not the best time, to start talking to people about the power of indexing. And when you couple that with the Barclay Trailblazer Sectors 5, a proprietary index on a proprietary product that we can offer only to our clients, I think it's substantial. So I have a question for sound. Can everybody hear me? Or is it just one person? Or please let me know so I know I'm not talking to myself. Okay, perfect. Okay, perfect. Thank you about that. Thank you, Talana. I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Gabe. Awesome. And then, like usual, if you guys and gals have questions, please feel free to type them in as we go, so I can make sure I get to those before I do have to leave. But this is available in your back office. Once you log into the FEG website, go under Workshop and go to FEG Tools, and this is located under Client Presentations. This is a simplified version. So this is going to be a mix between obviously doing the training side of it, but also really the client side on the importance of what we do. So first and foremost, we're in the business of life insurance and annuities. So our main objective is really a couple things. How do you protect your client's family, and how do you protect their financial future? Are you going to live a long, healthy life? We all hope so. Are you going to get sick along the way, or would you potentially end up dying too soon? These are the three things. Excuse me. These are the three things that are routinely going to happen. And again, we don't know which side of this coin we're going to be on. It's a three-sided coin, if that makes any sense. But in reality, is we don't really get to choose really these options. These options are chosen for us by fate, our diet, things of that nature, circumstances, things of that. But the problem is there's a mass majority of people underinsured or not even insured at all to begin with. Now, if you could cover all three of these with, one payment, would it be something that would interest you? Now, at this point in time, we've never mentioned one thing about life insurance. We've just talked about protecting the family, protecting their financial future. You're going to have life insurance if you die too soon, the traditional style, that we're accustomed to always hearing about, or the reason why majority of people do not want to talk to a life insurance agent is because this is all they see life insurance as. You die too soon. If you die, you get a benefit. But we've changed the game. We've changed the way and the narrative of way life insurance is looked at today, because living benefits came out. Now, when living benefits came out, we really brought the life back to life insurance, because majority of the time speaking, we're going to get sick before we pass away, unless it's unexpected. But what happens when you get sick? Is your 401k going to send you a check? Are you going to have to pay taxes on it if you want to get it? Maybe even a penalty. Are your credit cards going to care? What about your mortgage, your rent, your car payment, the schooling for your children, taking care of your family day to day? No, you still got bills to meet. If you're the primary breadwinner, even at that could make life a financial ruin. Living benefits can help solve that problem in a big, big way. And then lastly, retirement savings. The what if you live part. When we make it to retirement, do you want to be able to have a secondary source of income that could potentially be tax advantaged? Meaning, if you utilize the loans, you may not have to pay the income tax. I'm not going to say tax-free for a purpose, but we're going to say tax advantage. But again, all three of these can be in one product. Again, if it meets the client's needs. So scenario one, die too soon. If you're gone, guess what's going to be gone with you? Your paycheck. Now, if you have a family and, whether it's wife or husband, kids, no kids, how are they going to survive? If you're the primary breadwinner, or maybe even 50-50. Okay, I have some people saying they have no sound. I have some people saying they can hear me. I think it's a 50-50 toss up. Uh, Hopefully everybody can hear me. I know some people can. I know some people can't. If you can't hear me, the best thing I recommend, if you're listening over your computer, use the audio, change the audio drop down box to phone and dial in that way. Um, Generally speaking, when you're pushing audio on top of your voice over IP, it's going to create a little bit more bandwidth problems, especially if you do not have a decent to strong internet connection at the time. Keep in mind, I don't, everybody's different. So again, I apologize, but I always recommend using the phone always if you can. Um, Secondly, are you going to want your mortgage and other debts paid off? Or are you going to want to leave your family just with debts and bills to really pay for after they've already had to go through the heartbreak and headache of dealing with, a potential loss of a loved one? Um, you know, and the last part, would your family still need a reliable monthly income? And how long would they need this income for? Primary breadwinners, this is an important factor. If you're bringing in more than 50% of the income for your household, what happens if that income were to stop? Whether it's because you passed away or you got sick and couldn't work. What are you going to do now? What's your family going to do? Those are questions that really need to be asked. And, you know, this is also a significant point because, like I said earlier, the majority of people that do have life insurance, unfortunately, don't have enough coverage. And that could pose as another problem as well, not just to the family, but to us as an agent. Um, so again, making sure we insure the individuals and to their extent of what they need is the most important key to doing what we do to start off with. The other things that we offer are just the extras and the bonuses and the icing on the cake type of deal. But making sure these people are never going to have to worry whether it's live a long, healthy life, get sick along the way, or die too soon. We can take care of all three. So there's three different ways that life insurance is. You could purchase it essentially. You could have term. Potentially, you're renting it. It's temporary. You're not going to have cash value growth. It's the lowest cost. Why? Because you're paying purely for the cost of the coverage itself. It can be expensive long term, meaning if you allow your term to expire, then that renewal is astronomical increases. It is not for the faint of the heart at all. But the beauty behind this all is our policies that we offer are convertible to permanent 100% of the term duration, majority of the time, without proof of insurability, uh, 9 times out of 10. So again, we can take a permanent or a term policy which you've rented, convert that into a permanent policy, which it could be there for the rest of your life, such as the GUL. You own this. It's guaranteed coverage to any age that the client would like. It's guaranteed level premium to any age. You could do a full pay it for the life of the policy, or you could pay it off before you retire. Then you're also going to have return of premium options. Now, the return of premium options could be used for a variety of things. Some people use it to help pay off their mortgages, among other things. But if you no longer need the coverage, you could take your premium back in some cases. Now, there's other carriers that we have outside of Anaco that offer ROP like AIG. If you sell AIG, they have an ROP feature as well. But the two GULs that we recommend, Anaco and AIG, Anaco being first, they offer ROP options on a 3-year basis, a 15, a 20, and a 25th year. And then with Anaco, you're going to get just the 2 years. But again, at the end of the day, being able to have permanent coverage, and if you don't need it any longer, what's the point of having it? What if you could get your premiums back, or a portion of them, for that matter? Now, getting into the index universal life side, yes, good. Hey, that's a great question, Christopher. Yes, the guaranteed universal life, it does have cash value, and it's going to grow at I'm going to say roundabout average interest rate because it's a little different from either carrier, but let's say 2.5%. Now, this 2.5% is designed for one reason. I want everybody to be very, very clear with this. If your client can do it, please do this. Don't pay your coverage for the life of the policy. Think about it like this. Because of that, and I'm glad you brought this up, Christian. Thank you so much for reminding me on this part. Why would you want them to have an additional cost or a premium or a something they have to pay in retirement? They're potentially going to be on a fixed income of some sort, potentially. But what if you could save your client a substantial amount of money? And if you do it right, the GUL that grows at a guaranteed interest rate of 2.5%, that money that is earned inside that policy will end up paying for the life of the policy. So let's say you wanted to pay it off by 65. Your premiums could increase, anywhere from, I've seen it as low as a few $100s a year to as high as, thousands of dollars a year, just depending upon age and obviously how long you're guaranteeing the coverage to. But think about it. If it only costs you a few $100 extra a year during your working years, would you do it? Because that's really what the guaranteed interest rate's for, and that premium is built up for, unless you're going to use the ROP option on it. And if you're going to use the ROP option on it, then obviously you're taking out just a premium. You're not taking out any of the cash value at the end of the day. So utilize that cash value guaranteed growth for your advantage and for your client's advantage, and pay that policy off and assure them that they'll never have a premium payment for the rest of their retired life. And the coverage is still going to be there no matter what. So thank you for reminding me on that, on the interest rate, on the cash value side, Chris. I appreciate it. And then probably our flagship product, the IUL. It's really going to be for a lot of clients, depending upon their need, their financial discretionary income. How long do they have? I can be as creative as need be in a lot of cases for us and for our agents and for our clients. But with this, you're going to get some tremendous upside. When we talk about market volatility, the IUL is really our savior and our saving grace in reality, because the volatility, we never participate in on those downs. We have what's called a reset on an annual point-to-point basis. Now, if the market today dropped 38% and within the next 365 days, guess what our clients get? Guaranteed a quarter point. Now, it may not seem like a lot, but in reality, it's a whole lot better than a negative. And it makes your average rate of return a whole lot better. And especially pairing that up with a proprietary products such as the Synergy Global Advantage Freedom or the Synergy Global Advantage Gold, along with a proprietary index, the Barclay Trailblazer Sectors 5, that are currently providing participation rates up to 200% on the Freedom and 190% on the Gold products. Our clients this year are hovering right around 19 to 20% returns based on that participation rate. You're getting the index linked gains of that. So when that volatility happens, our clients are never concerned. It's actually a good thing for our clients because, like all good things, can get corrected. Well, bad things also get corrected. Now, if you didn't have to participate in the bad things, but you got the correction, that's a win-win situation all day long because you have no downside risk in the market. And you got the tax advantage income. And I want to be very clear when I say tax advantage. From a compliance standpoint, it's correct. Tax-free is incorrect. It's tax advantage because, again, you're using loans as a way to get a distribution of income, not withdrawals. It's a loan against the policy's value and your face amount, which will provide you that tax advantage distribution of income. Again, it's the same thing, but I just want to make sure we're all on the same page of compliance. I don't want to see anybody have to, get into any pickle or any situation. There's a reason why I try to go through as many of the presentations that I get sent my way for compliance. And I can't get to them all because, as you guys all know, Petrol likes to change presentations more than he changes shoes. So, but again, the IUL is a dominant player in our business. And again, so is term. Again, I think term is just as important as the IUL because I utilize term and GUL, especially the term, for income protection on the IUL. The living benefits on the IUL, that's great. That's really one of the third features that I care about. If you go list them one, two, three. First and foremost, I'm trying to get accumulation. Secondly, I'm trying to, have a a sum of money that I can access anytime that I want it and borrow from. But I want to make sure my income's protected long term when I want to start doing my tax advantage distributions or loans. And I'm going to protect that by using term or GUL. That way, if I get sick, my rate of return on my premium to living benefits is far greater than it will be on the IUL. Scenario 2, get sick. Unfortunately, we don't have a choice in this matter a lot of times because every year, millions of people, we're going to say, are going to get diagnosed with a heart attack, stroke, or cancer. And sadly, the average age of a critical illness claim is around 43, 44, 45. Again, think about this. For those that are in that age range or approaching that age range or just past it, that's just the average age. But the number that really gets me, though, is about 65 to 70% of these people are going to survive, which is what we all want to happen, obviously. But that's really the only silver lining in this all, because the next part is this: more than half end up bankrupt by the age of 44. What's that have to do with? Medical costs. Then everybody comes back to say, well, I have health insurance. That's fine. Health insurance doesn't cover everything. Let's be honest. And health insurance, isn't cheap either. But again, the majority of these people are going to go bankrupt. Now, if they could have had a policy, maybe even a term, that could have helped that. That could have helped not just them financially, but maybe them from a physical medical standpoint, maybe their marriage, maybe their family, because we all know what finances do to families. It creates tension. And if financial hardship falls, it makes the household much more stressful. And the last thing you need is any more stress than what you're already dealing with going through an illness. If we can help offset that alone, we're doing our job. We're doing something good for families and loved ones around the world. So the big question comes down to, if you do get sick and you can't go to work, how are you going to pay your bills? Because not everybody works in the industry like we do. Some people have to get up, go to a job, sit in traffic, get stuck, be stuck in LA traffic, California traffic, Dallas traffic, New York traffic, wherever you're at in the metropolitan city. I'm sure they probably don't enjoy it, doing it every day. And let's be honest, we probably have all talked to ourselves because we're stuck in traffic and frustrated. I know I have. I'm not afraid to admit it. But again, if I can't go to work, who's going to pay for my son? Who's going to pay for my family? That's the problem, is we don't want to think about those types of things. But in reality, we should, because if we all look at our phones, look at your computer, look at the places you're sitting in, whether it's your home, your office, look at your car, look at the TV you probably bought. Did you get insurance on those things? When you meet with clients, look around, take notice of what they have, as far as things that it could be potentially insured. And you'll be amazed to see that if they don't have insurance coverage, life insurance coverage, I bet you they have insurance coverage on that $1,500 phone, the new iPhone. I bet you they have, coverage on the 70-inch flat screen TV they bought. So what's more important, their phone, their TV, or their life and their family? Have them make that decision, because if you can't go to work, what is that TV going to care? Are you really going to care about that TV? Are you going to have to sell the TV to pay your medical bill? Something to think about. Critical, chronic, and terminal illness riders, they can be included on every policy that we offer. With chronic coming soon to the FEG IULs. But again, check with your state. Every state's going to be different. But again, these are coming on at no additional cost. So chronic illness can't perform 2 to 6 ADLs. Bathing, toileting, dressing, continence, transferring, and eating does not have to be related from an illness, can be related from an accident of some sort, as long as it's not negligence upon the client. Critical illness, heart attack, stroke, or cancer, just to name the big three. And terminal illness, doctor says you have 2 years or less to have fun. Now, I just covered all three of those. At the end of the day, these are additional extra benefits that clients are getting free. They're not coming on an additional cost. Like other companies out there charge. Some other companies say, "Oh yeah, we have living benefits." They have terminal illness up to 500,000, and you have to be alive. Doctor says you have a year left to live. Okay, that's kind of terrible. What if you had a heart attack? Realistically, or what if you couldn't perform to the 680L? Our policies, they go up to $2 million, $3 million of living benefits. It's hard to beat that. We've seen payouts as high as 90, 93%. And we're going to see one that was paid for just 1 month and had a living benefit claim. So living benefits, they can be used for about anything that you want. There's no indemnity for it, meaning you don't have to turn in receipts. You don't have to deal with any of that. You could spend the money on literally whatever you would like. Pay off your home, college funding, pay for the medical expenses, or maybe seek, additional treatment. How about your bucket list? The bucket list is probably more the ones for terminal illness side, but guess what? If you wanted to go to Vegas and put it, and gamble your, all of it away, you could. You wanted to take, your family out on a really nice vacation, you could. Guess what? It's your money. You do with what you want. Nobody's going to ask you questions why, because at the end of the day, it's yours. You can spend it on whatever you see fit. So the client I was referring to, and we've had hundreds and hundreds of clients, and this is just one. And the reason we chose this one is because of the specific time period that the client had. So this is Dr. Jonathan. He bought an IUL policy primarily for the tax advantage income. That was really the primary benefit. Secondary was, obviously living benefits and the death benefit. But due to, obviously the premiums he was spending, he had a significant size face and keep in mind. Now, the thing is, Dr. Jonathan, he only paid 1 month of premiums. Just one. Think about this. Think about if you just paid 1 month. Whether that was a term policy, maybe it was $20. Maybe it was 50. Maybe it was 100. Maybe it was 3,000. Who knows? But you got diagnosed a month later with cancer or a heart attack or something of that nature. You filed an ABR claim with your agent, or they filed a claim with you. And he accelerated 100% of his policy. He got $735,000 roughly. Now, if you paid 1 month premium, do you think it's real? Because he got cancer. He's cancer free now. He's back at work, and he's referring all the doctors that he worked with to one of our own agents. Now, granted, not every case is going to be the same here, but the fact of the matter is when people say it's not true, they won't pay. Here's proof in the pudding. Only 1 month was paid. Now, it's a contestability period. Yeah, absolutely. They can contest this, and they're going to make sure that there was no prior issues, beforehand, or anything of that nature. So make sure when you're doing your application to dot your I's, cross your T's, and that sort of thing. Because again, that can come back to bite you in the butt. And make sure your clients understand that, to be as honest as possible on the application for life insurance. Again, I stress this significantly. There was an article on everybody sees the commercials, USAA, the financial company for veterans and military service personnel. They did this to one of their own people because one of their military individuals he went to the doctor for a specific purpose. He passed away. They declined to pay the death benefit. Now, tell me if that kind of just sucks. Like, you're saying you're for the servicemen and women of the world, but yet you turn your back because of a application, and the reason that it was stated, it wasn't even a significant health issue. But the fact of the matter was they found a loophole and they didn't pay. Now, whether he was being honest or not, that's to be decided. But we always want to encourage our clients to be as honest as possible when they're doing the application, because again, we want to make sure that the claims process, if there ever has to be a claim, it is as seamless and streamless as possible for the family. Dr. Jonathan actually was with Anaco, American National Insurance Company. That's where his policy was at when he got the cancer. So he accelerated his Anaco policy. Now, keep in mind, you know, just because you've had cancer or you've had an illness doesn't necessarily disqualify you from further getting a policy later in life. You just got to get past a certain amount of years, generally about 5. But again, imagine this. If Dr. Jonathan here had an IUL, which this is what this was, and he had a term policy as well, he would have got probably 700. He probably, let's say he would have gotten 735,000. Guess what else he would have had still? An IUL policy that could be paying tax advantage income. But also any money that he didn't potentially spend here out of the 735 or, for medical or anything like that, he could have put into an annuity and guaranteed himself a lifetime stream of income, giving him 2 sources of income instead of just maybe one. Again, that's why I say, utilizing the term or GUL as income protection, making sure your IUL policy stays intact. Now, in this case, it worked out for him. He paid 1 month. But again, if you're 10 years into your policy and you only have an IUL, and we squeeze that death benefit down to maximize your cash value growth, you're not getting the same rate of return on your dollars as you could have if you get sick. Because if you can't afford the cheap term behind the IUL, then you probably can't afford the IUL to begin with. So I always encourage that. Make sure they're covered all the way around. Now, we all want this to happen. Scenario 3, live a long, healthy life. At the end of the day, the most likely outcome, which we all hope. Problem is, let's be really, really just frank about it. The majority of our savings is locked up, such as IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, 457s, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The list goes on. Here's the problem. There's a variety of things that could be changing in the Secure Act bill that could, even further have implications on these type of things if, for beneficiaries, such as qualified plans, such as IRAs and 401ks. But here's the thing. You're always vulnerable. Do you like a feeling of vulnerability? I don't think really too many people do. Because the stock market alone, the risk from that, we talk about that 2007 to 2008 decline, when we've seen the mortgage meltdown. Do you realize it was more than that? It was more than 38% or 37%. Because of the bear market that we went into prior, it was actually over 50%. It was over 50% through a short period of time that people lost. But we've seen a huge spike and as far as a drop is concerned in 1 year. But couple that with a couple of years prior, and you'll notice it's over a 50% decline. Because again, it corrected itself. But again, we went into the bear market slightly before. And again, once you do that, you have to earn 100% to get back to even. But now what we failed to also talk about is the fees associated with it. We are not allowed to talk about those so-called fees in detail, but we can associate that they potentially have fees associated with it. So no matter what it is, they still had to pay that, regardless win, lose, or draw. So you're not just losing one way, you're losing 2 ways. Now, when you lose 2 ways, market downturns already can delay and destroy your retirement. We watched that happen multiple times, 2001, 2007, the list goes on. Now we're on one of the biggest bull market runs we've ever seen. Now we're starting to see volatility coming in. And again, people are starting to get, skittish, cold feet. People are moving money. They want money to be safe. They want guarantees now. The more and more I talk to people and agents and clients, that's the number one concern. People with retirement dollars, they're moving them. They don't want to be in the stock market anymore right now. They're kind of getting a hint that, it's been great while it lasted. It's better to be safe than sorry. Don't be greedy. If like the old adage, if you sit at the table long enough in Las Vegas and you've been winning, you're going to give it back. And the stock market is going to do the same thing. You're eventually going to give it back. It's just a matter of when. So at the end of the day, what makes more sense? You could sit there with a fully taxable retirement income that could be fully susceptible to market risk. Or you could have a tax advantage income, or you could have a tax advantage income and a guaranteed lifetime income that's not subjected to market risk. You can learn how to eliminate the market risk routinely, increase tax efficiency, and potentially reduce the costs substantially, or even just a little bit. Because remember, every little bit counts in what we do. Okay, so this is where the index universal life and the annuities come in. They're the greatest wealth accumulation and preservation vehicles of our time. To kind of put it in perspective, 401k has been around since 1978. Some of us are a little bit younger than that. Some of us are older than that. Do you trust your hard-earned dollars in something that's only been around that amount of time? Where annuities have been around for over 2,000 years. Again, so taking a look at the 4 phases of retirement and insurance planning, you're going to have the contribution, accumulation, and distribution and transfer. Now, 401k, you're going to have a tax deduction, defer taxes to pay them at a later date. Guess what has happened? It's really just worked one time. Baby boomers. Why? Because they deferred taxes generally when taxes were higher later, when they first started. Taxes right now are as low as we've probably seen them in our lifetime. And for some of us, some of us are a little bit younger, maybe it's different. But think about that. If you defer taxes at 35%, but now but now it's 20%, it's working in your favor. Let's say you're at 24% versus 35%, right? Now, let's flip that around. Let's say you deferred them now at 24%. Let's say you live in Texas, you don't have state taxes. Let's just look at it from a federal side. You defer at 24. 30 years from now, you have to pay 35% tax. Did you win or lose? You want to pay tax on the seed or the harvest? That's really what it comes down to. So the IUL is going to be after-tax dollars. The accumulation phase, both going to be growing tax deferred. Distribution. The 401k is going to be taxable at retirement. IUL, tax advantaged. And the transfer phase. It can be taxable to the beneficiary on a 401k. And then if the Secure Act goes through and certain little clauses and, little underlying things that they have in there, they're going to force beneficiaries to take that in 10 years. They can't draw it out, potentially. Talk about forcing people, not having a choice anymore. Now, the IUL can be tax-free, death benefit, which we all are accustomed to seeing. So does it make sense to pay? Is it smarter to pay taxes on your seed or your harvest? Now, personally, I come from a farming, family. Honestly, I'll tell you this every day of the week: pay taxes on your seed, because reality is you don't know how big your harvest is going to get, and there's a reason why there's crop insurance and things like that. Because at the end of the day, if you pay taxes on the seed and you have a flourishing retirement, wouldn't you rather not have to potentially pay those taxes if you don't have to, and you could have a tax advantaged retirement? The Power of Zero by David McKnight. When we talked about, tax rate, the lowest tax bracket, think about this. In 1960 to 1963, literally just prior to the 401k, about 15 to 18 years. So if you think about that, by the time they hit 15 to 18, they're right around there. Lowest tax bracket, 20%. Middle tax bracket, 69. Now, this isn't that long ago, folks. Think about it. The 60s isn't that long ago. And it may seem like a long time, but in reality, it's really not. And the top tax bracket, 91%. So when people say, we won't see that again, there's no guarantee. We've been there before. And if we continuously keep going backwards as far as an economy standpoint at debt, we don't have very many options. You can only beg, borrow, and go further in debt until something has to change, you would think. Plus, Social Security's going broke, and that was really the purpose of 401k, to help offset Social Security, Medicaid, and pensions. Has it done a great job? I think it's a personal opinion on that. So if all of this goes unchanged, the lowest tax bracket would potentially increase from 10% to 25. 25 would rise to 63, and at 34.9 could go up to 88%. Now, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but at the end of the day, it could. Can a yearly loan instead of a withdrawal be scheduled on IUL at retirement age? Yes, Augusta. Yes, I never recommend doing withdrawals on your IUL. If you just always think about withdrawals as the same way as you think about going to the ATM. When you go to the ATM, you take money out of your account, it comes off of it immediately, right? Where the loans on an IUL never come out of your account value. It stays in there earning you an interest rate. That's the purpose. So we loan that money against the value of our policy, but it's still earning us an interest rate, even though we've spent it already. And indexing, if you're the guy pictured here, if many of us don't know, may look like, an older gentleman. Berkshire Hathaway, may have heard of that company once or twice, maybe you've even heard the name Warren Buffett, or maybe even heard somebody spent multi-millions of dollars to have lunch with this gentleman just recently. Amazing. Mind-blowing that you would spend that amount of money to have lunch. And he's about as frugal as he can be. But however, he has 2 rules to invest. Rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, don't forget rule number 1. The funny thing about this is his company causes people to lose money every day. And not because he's doing it on purpose, maybe, but because of the amount of money Berkshire Hathaway has in market. When they shift positions, it creates a wave. You could be indirectly affected by that wave, but it has zero to do with you. You have no control over your money. Would you like to have control over your money and to make sure you don't lose because of things like that, downturns, things of that nature, or political downturns, or whatever the case may be, type of downturns? Again, you could go from it not being able to control your retirement to having full control of your retirement. It's the choice. So it's solely yours and yours alone. So we're going to take a look at the red line versus blue line, the power of indexing, and how to eliminate market risk. So the red line represents, obviously, the S&P. Now, what I talked about earlier was that bear market. Now, what we don't see is it doesn't do a very good job in this because, again, it depends on what point to point you're crediting. Keep in mind, every company is different. If you're going to the 31st or the 31st of the next year, it's going to be different. If you go the 15th to the 15th of the next year, it'll be different. So keep in mind it's how the point to point's credited. But right here is where that bear market started. Then we've seen the decline. The problem was, depending upon when your point to point was, that was a 50% loss. So it doesn't seem that way on this because of where and the crediting is being positioned at on the day of the month. But again, that's where it started. So it wasn't just a 37% decline or 35 or 38. It could effectively have been a 50+% decline for a lot of people that just didn't realize it. Now, that's what I call the world's worst roller coaster for your money. You probably have better odds going to put it on one of the 35 to 36 numbers on roulette, and just saying, hey, or just red or black, call it a day. At least watch your money go out of your hand, or take control of your money. Operate on the blue line. The blue line only. Don't get me wrong. I invest in stocks. Don't get me wrong, but it's discretionary money. It's play money. It's because I can't go to Vegas all the time. So I'm gonna be honest with that. The blue line, we don't participate in downs. We get guarantees at a quarter point. Now, this is based on a 14.5% cap on the S&P 500. Now, we started 100,000. Let's fast forward about 20 years almost. Okay, your money grew $70,000 over a 20-year period of time. Now, so we got 70,000 over 20 years. You know how much you've averaged a year? $3,500. It's a pretty good rate of return, right? 3,500 bucks, 3.5% to be exact, if you wanted to do the interest rate on it. Or you could have grown roughly 260,000 potentially. You take that divided by 20. That's $13,000 a year, roughly. So what's the difference? About 10 grand a year, or 10% more, because of what? Indexing. Not because of anything else, because of the power of indexing and the products that we can offer our clients that really no other company really can, especially when you look at the Barclays Index and the Freedom and the Gold product at F&G. So you get 111% more money without ever having the market risk. Now we're going to take a look at the S&P versus the S&P 14.5 with cap, but then we're going to look at the proprietary index of the Barclays Trailblazer Sector 5. This is keeping in mind a 200% participation rate. Last 10 years, it's averaged 5.5%. Now, if you do 5.5 times 12, times 200%, you'll get the same number that everybody else does. However, because of quarter points and things of that nature, you get 13.49% potential crediting. Again, this isn't a guarantee, but I can guarantee you're not going to lose due to market risk. Your money is not in a market vulnerable position. It's a volatility controlled index, which means it's a perfect time for it right now. The 20 years on the S&P, 4%, where the S&P with a 14.5% cap has averaged 7.65. Barclays, the Sectors 5 hasn't been around that long, so they didn't go all the way back that far. Again, it's not going to be back again, they do back testing on 20 years, but again, it hasn't been around forever in a day. So again, keep in mind, you can go out to trailblazer.barclays.com. You can read about the index. You can read about the strategy itself. You can see how the performance is doing. You can type in your own point to points that you've started and show your client. So as we're coming down to the end, client example here, 35-year-old male puts in $400 a month, $4,800 a year. So total lifetime contribution is $163,000. Death benefit day one for $400, $404,000. That's a good rate of return on my dollar, right? But I'm going to couple that with the term, because most likely if it's a husband, a wife, and 2 kids, you're going to need more than $400,000. Living benefits up to $372,000. Now, tax advantage income at age 70 is almost just over $59,000. So total income by the time he's through 89, over $1.1 million. Death benefit at age 89, $115,000. Now let's think about this. You put $163,000 in, right? And you start taking tax advantage loans of $59,070. So in 2.7 years, you've taken out your total lifetime contribution. Everything past that is purely gains from your indexing. Again, what's in your policy is yours. You can choose how much to take out and when. At the end of the day, that's your money. But again, if it were to run true to this scenario, you'd have $1.1 million, essentially giving you a $1 million benefit compared to what you spent over a lifetime of premiums. Just to kind of put it in perspective. I'm going to go through this real quick. Client example 2, because I'm running out of time. Traditional planning, $500,000 in the 401k. You're going to have fees. Your money's going to be at risk. You have no guaranteed income options. However, what if it didn't cost your client potentially any dollars to move that money? And you could potentially reduce their cost to 0 or minimal cost, less than potentially 1.01 or 1.01, depending on the product. But you're going to guarantee them no market risk. You're going to guarantee them upside of the index. You're going to guarantee them a lifetime of income. Their money's going to outlive them. Doesn't everybody want that to happen if you have family and loved ones? Absolutely. But the best part about this is this: they're never going to write you a check personally. They're never going to spend any premiums personally. This is money that they've never seen. They've maybe seen it on a statement, threw it in the drawer if they've looked at it. They've never even touched it, never held it in their hand, nothing. But if you could position them better and it doesn't cost them anything to do it, and you can give them the guarantees of income for life, you can give them the assurance of no market risk, you can give them more than 100% upside, in some cases 160%. You can reduce their cost to potentially zero. Would you do it? Absolutely. Why not? You're getting the same benefit as you did over here, except your money's not at risk, and you could potentially lower the cost. Why not? I'm not writing an additional check for it. It's money I've never seen. I'm just going to roll it over to a place that's going to be safe, that it can grow, and I can have a guarantee it's going to be there when I need it the most. So some recommended reading: New Rules of Retirement, New Rules of Retirement Savings by Martin H. Ruby. Then you're going to have The Retirement Miracle by Patrick Kelly and The Power of Zero by David McKnight. This probably is the most important part of each and every person's client, the financial needs analysis. This is a necessity, in all honesty. Again, you need to know how much life insurance they need. And whatever the IUL potentially doesn't cover, if they're trying to get the IUL, cover it with the term. Or make sure if they can't afford the IUL, get the term at least. It's essential. So again, don't always price yourself out by going by the IUL route. First, foremost, do this needs analysis, find out what they need, and then we can work from there. So again, it's been a pleasure being on with everybody. I do have to jump off. I'm already late. So again, if you need anything, please send me an email. And for those that did send me an email, I will get back to you as soon as I get back. I should only be gone for probably about an hour and a half, 2 hours. But I will get back to you as soon as I am back at my office again. It's been a pleasure being here with everybody. But next week, mark the calendars, we're going to talk about a custom strategy that I created for our agents this year, and utilizing a strategy that, on a strategy that I've implemented for myself as well. And even in a down year, the Barclays, I was still able to turn a decent size return for a down year. So again, that'll be next week. And then tomorrow, the Nassau Re, making the sale, why the personal income annuity. And plus, there's a huge announcement coming out from them on the accumulation standpoint side. I think everybody should hear about uncapped style gains, good, higher participation rates, we're just going to keep it at that. I'm not going to give it all the way. But you don't want to miss that. I'll send an email out for everybody on that, because it will be a different link. It will be at 11 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Central time, 2 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you, everybody. Everybody have a wonderful day. And if I don't talk to you now, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Thank you.